The Yakuza come to Miami on a big, trashy, beautiful episode of Miami Vice. The Rising Sun of Death, which is not to be confused with the episode Baseballs of Death, which will come a little later on this season, was written by Peter Lance and was directed beautifully by Leon Ichaso. In a series known for great visuals, this is one of the most stunning episodes to watch. A businessman named Avery visits a sleek and sleazy private club where he has dinner with a high-powered Japanese businessman named Tanaka to discuss a merger. Tanaka's company has attempted a hostile takeover, which Avery has successfully blocked. Tanaka is played by acting legend James Hong, whose career dates back to the 1950s and includes such films as Blade Runner and Big Trouble in Little China. He's 90 years old now, and I don't want to jinx anything because I love James Hong and want him to live forever, but he's still going strong. In 2019 alone, he had multiple new IMDb credits. At the club, Avery watches strippers writhing around to Billy Idol's Flesh for Fantasy, and then he's murdered in a hot tub by Tanaka's associate, a Yakuza boss named Agawa. Agawa is played by Hawaiian-born actor Danny Kamekona, best known for playing Mr. Miyagi's nemesis in The Karate Kid Part 2. Meanwhile, newlyweds Crockett and Caitlin are in the market for a new house. Their scenes aren't important to this episode, but they do establish that Crockett is still in deep cover as Sonny Burnett, and thus must do everything, including buying a house, in his public persona as a scumbag drug runner who just happens to be married to a famous pop star. This will cause problems later on this season. Avery's body washes up on the shore. This would normally be a homicide investigation, but because Avery was doing business with Tanaka, who has known ties to Agawa's Yakuza organization, Vice is called in. Castillo is confronted by Police Commissioner Vasquez, who is currently running for mayor and is trying to avoid any bad publicity, and homicide detective Haskell, who is feeling territorial about Vice being involved in a homicide case. They apply pressure on Castillo to wrap up the case quickly and quietly. Vasquez is played by Roger Preto, who we've seen before playing bad guys in the episodes Definitely Miami and Killshot, while Haskell is played by Full Metal Jacket's Ermey. Crockett and Tubbs try to search Avery's office, but find the security guard at the front desk dead, killed by a cluster of Yakuza who try to break into Avery's safe while Si Senor the Hairy Grill by Yellow plays. Si Senor the Hairy Grill is a ridiculous title for a pretty good song. The Yakuza flee, Crockett and Tubbs chase them, and a gunfight ensues. A mysterious black-clad stranger appears out of nowhere and starts helping Crockett and Tubbs. The stranger leaves behind a business card on Crockett's Ferrari, identifying himself as a Tokyo-based private investigator named Kenji Fujitsu. Fujitsu is played by Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa of The Last Emperor and Showdown in Little Tokyo. He also appeared with Don Johnson in the CBS series Nash Bridges. One of the Yakuza is killed in the skirmish. Castillo is able to identify him as a member of Agawa's clan through his tattoos. Meanwhile, Agawa has the surviving Yakuza cut off their pinky fingers to atone for the disgrace of their failure. Castillo briefs Tubbs and Crockett on Fujitsu. He was a highly accomplished policeman in Tokyo before he attacked Tagawa without provocation and disappeared. The Yakuza control several private sex clubs in Miami, so Gina and Trudy don their finest stripper gear and get themselves hired by Agawa. Next thing you know, Trudy's up on the stage stripping to the Smiths' Last Night I Dreamt That Somebody Loved Me. I'm sorry, but forcing anyone to strip to the Smiths is just cruel and bizarre. I love the Smiths. That is not music for stripping. That is music for sitting alone on the floor of your dorm room in the dark and moping. Unfortunately for Trudy, Haskell happens to be in the club because he is on Agawa's payroll. He alerts Agawa that Trudy and Gina are cops, and the next thing you know, there's all kinds of kinky bondage scenarios going on as Agawa plots to kill Trudy, Gina, and Haskell. Crockett and Tubbs have the situation under surveillance, though, and they burst into the club while Moon on Ice by Yellow plays. Also in the club is Fujitsu, who kills a couple of Agawa's men before slipping off into darkness. Fujitsu then slinks into Vice headquarters at night and confronts Castillo, who is sleeping upright in his chair in his office, which is something we've seen him do before because Castillo is a strange and glorious creature. Fujitsu gives Castillo some backstory on Tanaka, a far-right war hero who used the Yakuza to fight communists after World War II. Along with being a former cop, Fujitsu is also a former Yakuza and close friend of Agawa's, who is now dedicated to stopping Tanaka and Agawa. Castillo visits Tanaka and Agawa and offers to give them Fujitsu. Fujitsu and Agawa confront each other on a rainy evening, and they both whip out their katanas and go at it in a really well shot and choreographed fight scene. Fujitsu gets the upper hand, but Castillo talks him out of killing Agawa because it would be better to let him live in disgrace than die an honorable death. Fujitsu sees the wisdom in this, and he and Castillo head after Tanaka. First, Castillo takes the time to dress in head-to-toe black like the ninja he is. Castillo and Fujitsu confront Tanaka, who commits seppuku in front of them. This is a trashy, stylish episode, and I love it. It's got some great performances. James Hong, Danny Kamekona, and Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa are all fun to watch, and Ermey turns in a very slithery performance as the corrupt homicide detective who purrs on Gina and Trudy. Mostly, though, it's just beautiful to watch. The scenes are composed and lit magnificently, the action scenes are well choreographed, the locations look great, and the little details, down to the color choices of Tubbs's neckties, are perfect. There's not a lot of substance to this one. I don't think it's trying to make any sort of greater points about the Yakuza or post-war society in Japan or corruption in government or anything like that. And that's okay. It's a bit lurid and tawdry. Anytime you have Gina and Trudy dressed as strippers while in bondage, you know Miami Vice is heading straight for that B-movie sweet spot. But this is a very entertaining episode, and I'm giving it 4 flamingos. Next time, Crockett goes undercover to explore the world of video dating to bait a serial killer. Please subscribe to my channel to be the first to see that when it drops, and thank you for joining me.